My son told me I no longer belonged in his life. But those words were not his, they were someone else's.
I never thought I would tell this story. For years, I kept it locked inside my heart, buried so deep that even breathing felt painful sometimes. But silence can destroy a person more than the truth ever could. So today I will speak, slowly, gently, and honestly. Because my heart cannot carry this alone anymore. I still live in the same old house, the one with creaking floors, faded curtains, and memories etched into every wall. A house that once breathed with life, laughter, and warmth. Now it is nothing but quiet. A quiet that presses against my chest like a weight. This is the house where I raised my son. His name is Daniel. He was my entire world. I raised him alone, no husband, no partner, no helping hand, just me. And the love a mother carries so fiercely it burns. I remember waking him up for school every morning. How he would run down the hallway with his tiny socks slipping off his feet. How he would hug me so tightly before leaving, whispering, "Mom, don't forget to wait for me." And I always did. I waited for him in sunlight. I waited for him in rain. I waited for him when he was late, even when I knew he was safe. Because a mother waits, it is what we do. But time changes everything, even a child's heart. I noticed it slowly at first, the way Daniel's voice grew shorter, how his smiles didn't reach his eyes anymore. Then the late nights began, the unanswered calls, the quiet dinners. When I asked if anything was wrong, he would say, "Mom, I'm just tired." "Mom, it's nothing." "Mom, you worry too much." But I could feel him slipping away from me, the bond we once had thinning like a fragile thread. One evening, he finally brought someone home. A girl, her name was Nora. She was polite, she smiled, she talked sweetly. But her eyes were colder than winter rain. A mother knows, we always know. There was something inside her gaze, something sharp, something calculating, something that had already decided I was in her way. Daniel changed even more after she appeared. He talked less. He stayed out more. He guarded his phone like it held the universe. And every time he looked at me, I saw distance. A distance that frightened me. One night, he came home late again. I was sitting at the kitchen table, waiting like I always did. He walked past me without even meeting my eyes. "Daniel," I said softly, "I made dinner. Sit with me for a moment." He froze, but not in the way I hoped. His shoulders stiffened, as if my voice was something heavy he didn't want to carry. "Mom," he sighed, "you don't need to wait up for me anymore." I smiled, pretending the sentence didn't pierce my chest. "I'm your mother, I'll always wait." But he shook his head slowly. Then he said the words that shattered something inside me forever. "Mom, you don't belong in every part of my life anymore." It felt like the room tilted for a moment, like the earth beneath me cracked. I couldn't breathe. He didn't see the pain in my eyes, maybe he didn't want to. He walked to his room and closed the door behind him. That night, the house was quieter than it had ever been. Even the walls seemed to mourn with me. But I knew, deep inside, this wasn't just growing up. This wasn't just a young man wanting space. Someone or something was pulling my son away from me. And I didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. The beginning of a truth that would break me far more than those words ever could. I wish I could tell you things got better after that night, but they didn't. They only worsened. The days that followed were wrapped in a strange, uncomfortable silence. Daniel moved through the house like a ghost, present but unreachable. He walked faster, spoke less, and avoided sitting in the same room with me for too long. I tried not to let my heart break. I told myself it was a phase, a temporary storm, a tunnel with light at the end. But mothers, we know when something is different. We know when the child we raised is no longer the same. It was Nora. I could feel it, sense it. Every time she came to the house, Daniel stood a little farther from me. Every time she spoke, his eyes no longer reflected mine, they reflected hers. Cold, calculating, distant. There were moments I tried reaching out. Do you need help with anything? Can we talk for a moment? Daniel, are you happy? But he either brushed me off or simply walked away. And yet, even with all this distance, I kept cooking his favorite meals. I kept folding his laundry just the way he liked. I kept turning on the porch light at night, waiting for his shadow to appear through the fog. Because loving a child is not something you stop doing when they stop loving you back. One evening, Daniel told me Nora would be joining us for dinner. It surprised me. He hadn't asked us to eat together in months. I spent the entire afternoon preparing a meal that took hours: roasted chicken with rosemary, garlic mashed potatoes, vegetables, warm bread. Food I knew my son loved. When they walked in, I felt something warm bloom inside me just for a moment. Maybe this was his way of reconnecting. But that hope, it died quickly. Nora looked around the house with a tight, controlled smile. Her eyes lingered on the old photographs, the worn furniture, the walls that had seen years of struggle. "Your home is very traditional," she remarked, not kindly, not neutrally, but with a tone that carried judgment beneath every syllable. Daniel didn't defend me. He didn't say a word. We sat at the table. I served the food. I tried to make small talk. "So, Nora, how is work going?" She stirred her fork slowly and said, "Oh, good. But Daniel and I have been talking, and we think it's time he moves out of this place." The fork slipped from my hand. The sound echoed through the entire house. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my eyes. My voice trembled. "Moves out. Why so soon? You just..." Nora cut me off. "Because he needs to grow. This house is too small for the life he deserves." Too small, was that what she thought of the home I built with my tears and sacrifices? Daniel whispered, "Mom, I think she's right." I felt my lungs tighten. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. "But honey, you're barely home as it is. Why rush?" Nora smirked. "Because it's time. He's not a child anymore. He shouldn't be tied to his mother like this." Like this, those two words sliced through me. Daniel swallowed, then said something that broke me in ways I didn't know were possible. "I need space, Mom." Nora says this environment, it's not healthy for me. Unhealthy, my home, my love, the place I bled and worked myself to the bone for. I blinked fast, fighting the sting behind my eyes. "I only ever tried to do my best for you," I whispered. Daniel sighed, frustrated. That's the point, Mom. You try too hard. I need a life that's mine, not one controlled by your emotions. Controlled, he said, controlled, as if my love was a burden, as if my care was a cage. Nora gently placed her hand over his, and for the first time I saw it clearly. She enjoyed this. She enjoyed watching him pull away from me, watching me crumble. She wanted him for herself, entirely. Dinner ended in silence. A week later, I did something I had never done before. I walked past Daniel's partially open door. I heard whispers, low, tense, urgent. Nora's voice. She's holding you back. She wants to keep you trapped here. She doesn't want you to grow. She's manipulating you. Manipulating me, the woman who skipped meals just so my son could eat. The woman who worked late nights so he could have clean notebooks and new shoes. I stepped back quietly, pressing my hand over my mouth. My knees weakened. My heart trembled. I never wanted to spy on my child, but what I heard that night was the beginning of a wound that would bleed for months. The next morning, Daniel barely looked at me. I'm moving out, he said. Flat, cold. I tried to stand strong. Tried to be the mother who lets her child go. When? I whispered. Tomorrow, tomorrow. No conversation, no preparation, just tomorrow. He had already planned it, already decided. Without me, I nodded slowly. I didn't want him to see my tears, but he saw them anyway. And he turned away. During those next 24 hours, I watched him pack his childhood into boxes, clothes, books, trophies I bought with money I didn't have. The walls grew emptier. The air grew colder. At one point, I picked up a tiny sweater, his first winter sweater. He wore it when he was just 2 years old. My little angel, I whispered. Nora appeared in the doorway. Her smile was thin, sharp. You don't need to keep unnecessary things, she said. It's time to declutter. Declutter, as if my memories were trash. Daniel didn't defend me. Not once. When the final box closed, he said, I'll visit, Mom, I promise. But something inside me already knew that promise was a lie he didn't even realize he was telling. Because once someone pulls your child away from you, you lose them long before they walk out the door. I stood at the doorway and watched him carry box after box into Nora's car. He didn't hug me. He didn't thank me. He didn't even look back. When the car drove away, I felt something inside me collapse. My son's my life was no longer mine. The house felt heavier, darker, emptier than ever. But I didn't know, not yet, that this was only the first betrayal. Worse ones were still coming. When Daniel left, the house didn't simply become quiet. It became hollow. Empty in a way I had never experienced before, not even in the hardest years of raising him alone. Every corner whispered his name. Every photograph stared at me like a reminder of what I had lost. The kitchen chair where he once sat. The hallway where he ran as a child. Even his empty room felt like a tomb. But what hurt the most wasn't the silence he left behind, it was the silence he kept. Days passed, then weeks. No call, no message, not even a text saying I'm fine. I waited anyway. I kept my phone charged. I kept checking the window, hoping to see his silhouette walking up the path like he used to. He never came. And then the first real blow arrived. One evening, when the sky was turning purple and the world felt unbearably still, my phone rang. My heart jumped. Daniel. It had to be Daniel. I grabbed the phone so quickly I nearly dropped it. Daniel, honey. A pause, then a cold, unfamiliar voice. Hi. This is Nora. I froze. Something inside me tightened. Oh, Nora, is everything okay? Is Daniel? He's fine, she said sharply, as if the question annoyed her. He's busy. He doesn't have time to talk right now. Busy, too busy to talk to his mother. The mother who sacrificed everything for him. She continued, we just wanted to let you know that Daniel won't be visiting for a while. He needs space to focus on his life. Something in her tone made my skin crawl, the way she said we. As if my son's choices belonged to her now, I swallowed. Can you please tell him I love him? Another pause, then I'll think about it. And she hung up. I stood in the quiet house, the phone still in my hand, listening to the hum of nothing. A cry rose in my throat, but I forced it down. Mothers cry quietly. We cry where no one can see. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the chair where he once sat, wondering how love could turn into distance so quickly. A week later, I was scrolling through social media, something I rarely did, when a photo stopped me cold. Daniel, at a restaurant, laughing, smiling the way he used to, but not with me. He was laughing with Nora and her family. Her mother sat beside him. Her father across from him. And in the caption, Nora wrote, "Family dinner tonight, family." She called them family, my son, my only child, sitting with strangers, and she called it family. Tears blurred my vision. I pressed a hand to my mouth to stop the sob that fought to escape. He looked happy, happier than he'd looked with me in months. I didn't know whether to feel relieved or shattered. I clicked on Daniel's profile. My hands trembled, but when I opened it, my entire body went numb. I wasn't on his friend list. I wasn't a follower. I couldn't see his posts. Because he had blocked me, blocked his own mother. Something broke inside me that moment, something deep, something final. A wound far sharper than any physical pain. Why? What had I done to deserve this? What sin had I committed except loving him too much? I pressed my forehead to the cold window glass and cried until my chest hurt, until my throat burned, until the world felt like it was collapsing around me. Being replaced is painful. But being erased, that destroys your soul. 2 months passed, 2 months of silence. Then one morning the doorbell rang. I opened the door slowly and Daniel was standing there. My heart leapt. My knees nearly buckled with relief. "Daniel," I whispered. He didn't hug me, didn't smile, didn't even step inside. "I came to pick up the rest of my things," he said flatly. His voice was colder than winter wind. "Your things?" My voice cracked. "Honey, you barely left anything." "Exactly," he said. "Nora thinks I should remove anything that ties me to this place. This place, not home, not in my childhood house, just this place." I clenched my hands to stop them from shaking. "Daniel, why are you letting her decide everything? Why can't we talk? Why are you pulling away from me?" He exhaled sharply. Mom, Nora told me everything. My stomach twisted. What had she told him? She said you tried to overhear our conversations, that you spy on us, and that you want to keep me from being independent. My breath caught. She what? My voice trembled. Daniel, I only wanted to, he cut me off. She said you faked crying to manipulate me, that you want me to feel guilty for leaving. Fake crying, manipulation. I felt the room spin. Daniel, please, that's not true, he stepped back, as if my presence was toxic. I don't want to argue, I just came for my things. He pushed past me, walked to his old room, and began filling a box. I stood in the hallway, numb, dizzy, broken. Every sound felt distant. Every breath felt heavy. After a few minutes, he came back with the box in his arms. Goodbye, he said emotionlessly. Daniel, I whispered, reaching out instinctively. He recoiled. Don't, he said, just don't. And he walked away. I called after him. I love you, Daniel, no matter what. But he didn't turn around, not even once. After he left that day, something inside me finally gave way. Walls I had built with strength and patience cracked open. Emotions I had held back for months flooded through me like a storm. I sank to the floor in the hallway, the same hallway where I once watched my little boy take his first steps, and I cried until I had nothing left inside. My heart didn't just ache, it shattered, piece by piece. When a mother's child leaves her, it feels like the world loses color, the air becomes thinner, the soul becomes tired, every day becomes harder to survive. I stopped cooking, stopped cleaning, stopped talking to neighbors, stopped opening the curtains. I lived in darkness. Because what light could possibly matter? When your own child treats you like a shadow, weeks passed, then months. Sometimes I would pick up my phone and dial his number only to hear, "The number you're trying to reach has been blocked." I would whisper into the silent room, I love you, hoping somehow the wind would carry the words to him. But the wind never answered. One afternoon, my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Carter, knocked on my door. She looked troubled. Are you okay, dear? She asked. I tried to smile, failed. I'm fine, I whispered. She hesitated. Then she said something that made my skin run cold. I saw Daniel with that girl a few days ago. Nora, right, she doesn't seem very kind. My throat tightened. Mrs. Carter continued softly. I heard them arguing outside the store. She was yelling at him something about money. She said he should stop giving handouts to useless people. Useless people. Was she talking about me? My knees weakened. And Daniel, the old woman said, voice trembling, he looked scared, not angry, scared. A chill ran down my spine. Scared of Nora, something wasn't right, something was deeply wrong. One night, while sorting through Daniel's childhood books, I found an envelope tucked between the pages of an old diary. It had my name on it. My heart pounded. Inside was a handwritten letter, not from Daniel, but from someone else. It read, If you love your son, protect him. She is not who she pretends to be. Find out what she wants before it's too late. There was no signature, no explanation, just those chilling words. My breath stalled. Protect him. From what? From who? From Nora. A new fear gripped me, different from heartbreak. different from sadness. A fear every mother knows deep inside her bones. Something is threatening my child, something dark, something dangerous. And I realized then my story wasn't about losing my son. It was about fighting for him. And the real nightmare was only beginning. ACT4, the more I stared at that mysterious letter, the more my heart trembled. If you love your son, protect him. Protect him from what? From who? What danger was creeping into his life while I sat here drowning in sadness? I knew one thing: a mother's instinct never lies. For months, I thought I was losing Daniel because of my own flaws, because I was too emotional, too attached, too present. But now I realized something far more terrifying. I wasn't losing my son. He was being taken from me, piece by piece, emotion by emotion, until nothing of the boy I raised remained. I needed answers. And I needed them now. The next morning, I left my house for the first time in days. My hands shook as I locked the door. The world outside felt unfamiliar, too bright, too loud, too fast. I walked to the corner store where Mrs. Carter said she'd seen Daniel and Nora fighting. The cashier recognized me. "Oh, you're Daniel's mother, right?" I nodded weakly. My voice barely came out. "Yes." "Have you seen him lately?" The man hesitated, then said in a low voice, "Yeah, I saw him last week. He looked off, like something was wrong, but that girl he's with," he scowled. "She's trouble, always snapping at him, acting like she owns him." My heart squeezed painfully. "What were they arguing about?" I whispered. "Money," he said, "and something about keeping things quiet." I didn't hear everything. Money, silence, control, my stomach twisted. This wasn't normal relationship drama. It was something deeper. When I left the store, the air felt heavier, as if the world itself was warning me. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, someone knocked on my door. I opened it and froze. It was Daniel. He looked worse than before, eyes hollow, shoulders slumped. A bruise darkened his cheek, small but unmistakable. "Daniel, honey, what happened to you?" My voice shook. He flinched away from my touch. His voice was low, tired, broken. "Mom, I shouldn't be here." My heart cracked. "You can always come here, always." He stepped inside, shutting the door gently, but his hands trembled. "Just don't tell Nora I came." Well, that sentence hit me like lightning. Since when did my son need permission to see his mother? "What is she doing to you, Daniel?" I whispered. "Nothing." Oh, he snapped, then ran a hand through his hair. She wants what's best for me." "Does she?" I said softly. "Then why did she tell you I manipulate you? Why did she tell you to block me? Why did she?" He slammed his fist onto the table, startling even himself. "Because she cares about me, Mom." I looked at him, truly looked at him, his trembling lip, his darting eyes, his anxious breathing. This wasn't love, this was fear. "Daniel," I said quietly, "are you afraid of her?" His jaw clenched, his shoulders tightened, and his eyes, his beautiful eyes, filled with tears he refused to let fall. "Mom, I can't talk about this." He turned toward the door. "Daniel," I cried, "please don't go, please talk to me." He looked back at me, and for the first time in months, I saw my little boy inside those hollow eyes. "I miss you," he whispered. Then he walked out. After he left, my chest ached with a pain so deep I could barely breathe. He was hurt. He was scared, he was trapped, and I was powerless, but something in me hardened that night. A mother's sorrow turned into something sharper, stronger, dangerous. I wiped my tears and whispered into the silent room, no one hurts my child." The next day, I went to Daniel's new apartment. I didn't tell him I was coming. When I reached the building, the door to their unit was slightly open. My heart thundered. I stepped closer and I heard voices. Nora's voice, cold, cruel, sharp as broken glass. "You're pathetic, Daniel. You can't even stand up for yourself." Daniel's voice was small, trembling. "I'm trying." "No, you're not. I told you to cut her off completely. Why did you go see her last night?" And my breath caught. She knew. She knew he came home. Daniel stammered, I just needed to." "What needed your mommy? Again, God, you're useless." Useless, she called my son useless. Something inside me erupted. I pushed the door open. They both froze. Daniel's eyes widened in terror. Nora's narrowed like a predator S. "What are you doing here?" Oh, she hissed. I ignored her. I stepped forward, eyes only on my son. "Daniel, you're coming with me." He shook his head frantically. "Mom, please don't." Nora stepped between us. "He's not going anywhere," she spat. "He stays with me. He belongs with me." I stared at her, really stared. And in her eyes, I saw it, possession, obsession, control, darkness. She didn't love him, she owned him. "I found the letter," I said calmly. Her expression flickered fear. Just for a moment. "What letter?" she snapped. "Oh, the one that says he's in danger," I whispered. Daniel's face went white. Nora's mask cracked. She stepped closer, her voice low and venomous. "Daniel doesn't need you. He needs someone strong. Someone who knows what's best. Someone who doesn't smother him." I trembled, but not with fear. "With rage, you're hurting him," I whispered. Her lips curled cruelly. "Of course I am. He listens better when he's scared." Daniel gasped. My heart stopped. "You what?" he whispered. Nora froze, but it was too late. The truth had escaped her lips. I turned to Daniel, voice shaking. "She is not protecting you, honey. She is breaking you." For a moment, the apartment was silent. Then Nora lunged forward, screaming, "Hes mine!" Daniel stepped back, horrified. I shielded him instinctively. "No," I said firmly. "He is my son." Nora glared at us with a hatred that didn't look human. "You'll regret this," she hissed. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Daniel collapsed to the floor, shaking. "Mom," he whispered, "what have I done? How did I let this happen?" I wrapped my arms around him, holding him for the first time in months. "You're safe now," I whispered. "I'm here. I'll always be here." He buried his face in my shoulder and sobbed, like a child, like the boy I once held when storms frightened him. But I knew this wasn't over. Nora wasn't gone. She wasn't finished. And the letter, the mysterious warning, still haunted me. But for a moment, just a moment, I held my son and he didn't pull away. For a moment, it felt like the world had paused. As if time itself had stopped just to let me hold my son again. Daniel trembled in my arms, his breath uneven, his heart racing like a frightened child. "It's okay," I whispered, running my hand through his hair the way I did when he was small. "You're safe now, I'm here." But deep inside, I knew safety was temporary. Nora wasn't someone who simply walked away. Her darkness was not the type that faded overnight. And that anonymous letter, it kept echoing in my mind. Protect him before it's too late. What did it mean? Who sent it? Why? I needed answers for both of us. For the next week, Daniel stayed with me. He slept in his old room, the one he once ran around in with toy cars scattered everywhere. He barely ate, barely spoke, barely slept. Every sound outside made him flinch. Every knock on the door made his breathing stop. "Mom," he whispered one night, "what if she comes back?" I held his cold hands. "If she does, she will not get past me." He swallowed hard. "You don't understand, Mom. You didn't see her when she got angry. She changes." Fear flickered in his eyes, raw, desperate fear. "What did she do to you?" I whispered. He hesitated. Then, "She controlled everything, when I could sleep, who I could talk to, what I could wear, how much money I could use. She said I had to prove my loyalty." Loyalty, the word made my blood run cold. "How?" I breathed. Daniel stared at the floor. "And she said if I ever tried to leave, she would ruin both of us." My breath caught. "Daniel, I didn't tell you," he whispered, "because I thought she was right. I thought you were the reason I felt weak. I thought leaving you would make me stronger." His voice cracked. His hands shook violently. "But I was wrong, Mom, so wrong." I held him close as silent tears fell down his cheeks. Sometimes we don't just love the wrong people, we become prisoners to them. One night, just after midnight, a loud knock rattled the door. Daniel froze. "Mom," he whispered. "She found me." The knock came again, louder this time. I felt my heart stop. I approached the door slowly and called out, "Who is it?" A familiar, shaky voice answered, "It's me, Mrs. Carter." Relief washed over me so quickly I nearly collapsed. I opened the door and saw my elderly neighbor wrapped in a shawl, her face pale with fear. "I couldn't sleep," she whispered. "I thought you should know I saw Nora outside your house earlier. She was sitting in a car watching, then she left." Daniel's face went white. "Mrs. Carter touched my arm gently. "She's dangerous, dear. Please be careful." Her visit lasted only a moment, but her warning lingered long after. Nora knew where Daniel was. She was watching, waiting. And mothers know evil does not surrender easily. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at that cryptic note again. I read it aloud. "If you love your son, protect him. She is not who she pretends to be. Find out what she wants, before it's too late." Daniel sat across from me, his hands wrapped around a cup of tea he wasn't drinking. "Who could have written this?" I asked. He shook his head slowly. "I don't know, but whoever it was, they knew something." A chill ran through me. "What does she want, Daniel?" He swallowed hard, too hard. "If I tell you," he whispered, "you'll be in danger, too." My stomach twisted painfully. "Daniel, please, I'm your mother. I can't protect you blindly. I need to know." He hesitated, then closed his eyes as if gathering strength. "Nora doesn't just control people emotionally." His voice shook. She manipulates them, uses them. She needs people who obey her, people she can break. She said broken people are easier to shape. A cold wave hit me, and she wanted me to, his voice cracked, cut you off. Forever, completely. Why? I whispered. Because she said you were the only person who could make me think for myself. Tears slid down my cheeks. And she needed me, Daniel continued, because she can't survive without controlling someone. It made sense now, the fear, the lies, the manipulation, the isolation. But one question remained, why you? Before he could answer, another knock interrupted us. Soft, barely audible, but unmistakable. Nora, Daniel's face drained of color. I stood up, motioning Daniel to stay behind me. I opened the door just a crack, and there she stood, calm, smiling, beautiful in a sickening way. "Hello," she said sweetly, as if nothing was ever wrong. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. "Nora," I said quietly, "you need to leave my son alone." Her smile widened, a smile without warmth, without life. "Oh," she whispered, "it's far too late for that." Her eyes gleamed with something dark, something dangerous. "You think you've won, don't you?" she said. "You think he'll just walk away from me?" I held my ground. "He already has." She leaned closer, her breath cold on my skin. "You can't protect him forever. You're weak, old, alone." Her voice dripped venom. "He listens to me. He needs me." "No," I said firmly. "He does." She smiled again. A smile that sent chills down my spine. "Well," she whispered, "then I suppose he won't need this anymore." She slipped a folded note into my hand and walked away. She didn't run. She didn't threaten. She didn't scream. She walked away slowly, as if she knew the damage was already done. I unfolded the note, hands trembling uncontrollably, and my breath vanished from my lungs. It read, "I'm sorry, I tried to warn you. She found out. Please protect him." My mind raced. Mrs. Carter. Maria from the grocery. Someone else entirely. Before I could process it, Daniel opened the door. "Mom, who was?" Then he saw the note. His eyes widened. That's from," he took a sharp breath. "Mom, we need to leave now." "Why?" I whispered. His voice was barely a breath. "Because the person who wrote that is gone." My heart stopped. Gone as in. He nodded slowly, eyes filling with horror. As in dead. A cold, soul-crushing realization washed over me. Nora wasn't just cruel, she wasn't just manipulative. She was dangerous, truly dangerous. We left the house with only what we could carry. Daniel's hands trembled as he locked the door. "Where will we go?" I whispered. "Away," he said. "As far as we can, away from her." We drove with no destination, no plan. Just fear guiding us like a shadow in the rearview mirror. At one point, Daniel whispered, "Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't know who she really was." I touched his cheek gently. "You're here now, that's what matters." He looked away, tears slipping silently down his face. "Mom, you saved my life." "No," I whispered. "You saved yourself. I just gave you a place to fall." We built a new life. A small, peaceful town. A house with sunlight in every room. A garden Daniel helped me plant. He went to therapy. He worked. He learned to breathe again, and our relationship, broken, bruised, but not destroyed, began to heal. Every morning he kissed my forehead. Every night he told me, "Good night, Mom, I love you." And every time he said it, my heart stitched itself back together. Slowly, painfully, beautifully, but we never forgot the woman who nearly ruined us. Sometimes I still check the locks twice at night. Sometimes Daniel wakes from dreams he won't describe. We both carry scars, but we survived. And that is a miracle. On the anniversary of the day he left Nora, Daniel placed a small white flower on our porch. "For her," he whispered, "for the one who warned us. Whoever M was, she saved my son." And I'll carry that gratitude in my heart forever. Because at the end of everything, pain, betrayal, fear, danger, one truth remained. A mother's love is stronger than anything that tries to break it.